Good morning to my spiritual family. It is Tuesday, August 24th, and you can already hear my echo. This room is much larger than where I was working before. Today is my first message coming to you from my new office. So I'm super excited. I've got everything moved in here just about. I've just got some organizing to do and hang some stuff on the walls, and it was really hard for me to do it first. My bedroom, my whole area is really naked right now, but I'm actually really excited now that it's put together. It really feels real, so that's exciting. And real quick, is anyone else just drinking the absolute best coffee this morning? Like, I swear my coffee is extra super delicious today. All right, so let's jump right into today's oracle message. We have the house. And the keywords are soul, family, familiarity, internal workings, and level of consciousness. The incantation is my healing occurs when I honor my internal workings. Tarot cards that it correlates with: Two of Wands, Eight of Wands, Ten of Cups, Two of Cups, and Ten of Cups. The history of the house symbol. The house is symbolic of the cosmic center of the world and the universe. It represents the external structure of the soul and is associated with a feeling of familiarity. It is a symbol of the internal workings of the mind. The ceiling represents the ego mind, and the floor represents the subconscious or unconscious mind. That's interesting to know. And the oracle message. The body holds vibrational memories, and I hold all the resources within to restore myself to wholeness. My triggers hold clues to what feelings need to be healed within me. What were we talking about yesterday, guys? Listen to this. My triggers hold clues to what feelings need to be healed within me. Triggers, triggers, triggers. When you, in another way to understand what a trigger is when you find yourself having an emotional response to something that isn't, I don't want to say isn't warranted. I don't want to say that your feelings aren't warranted, but when you have an overly emotional response to something, that would be considered a trigger. Whether we're talking overly sad, overly angry, overly anxious, these would be considered triggers. And when you find yourself triggered, guys, if you don't want to be triggered by whatever it is for the rest of your life, you really need to, these triggers have clues, and you need to find out. Remember, give yourself permission to find out what feelings need to be healed within you. We're going over this again, so I know that there's some of you out there who really need to hear this right now. You're really working through some triggers. How did he get upside down? This is the gateway to my subconscious mind. As I quietly tune into my physical energy, I notice where the tension lays within. As I dance, sing, stretch, and move my body, it slowly releases the tight grip and tension held within. And you know, I don't do that enough. I don't personally stretch enough. And I think it's really important because we all carry our stress in different ways. Like for me, it's in my neck and in my shoulder areas. And if we don't stretch these areas, it's just going to continue to build up. And our emotions and our triggers actually end up eventually transmuting into a physical pain. So, another reason why it's so important to pay attention to these triggers and give yourself permission to feel them so you can heal them. I'm not going to say it's not going to be painful, but it's not any more painful than being triggered all the time. I trust when my senses detect a feeling of familiarity and safety when things feel disjointed and disconnected. I am curious about my feelings, beliefs, and their attachment to people, jobs, or objects that have entered my space. If they feel right, I have the choice to keep them close. If it does not, I listen to how my senses react and follow through with what is best for me. I choose who and what connects to my house of worship. And here we're talking about boundaries, okay? If I do not, I listen to how my senses react and follow through with what is best for me. We're not talking about pleasing others or doing what we think other people expect of us. We're talking about setting boundaries for ourselves, which is another aspect of self-love. You're going to learn that you're going to have more love for yourself, unconditional love for yourself, when you do let yourself feel and understand these triggers, when you do let yourself set boundaries for unhealthy situations. This is when you're really going to feel this unconditional self-love that you have for yourself. It's very powerful. See, and then it says self-love is the safest kind of love. The more I give to myself, the more the world gains. Loved people love people. I love that. Loved people love people. And that is really true. You ever seen somebody at the drive-thru is just way too happy for 6 o'clock in the morning? One of those type deals, you know? And then when it says here, the more I give to myself, the more the world gains. Giving to yourself doesn't necessarily mean self-care. It doesn't necessarily mean getting your hair done or taking that bath or going for that run. These are definitely all very important aspects of self-care, but setting healthy boundaries and acknowledging the triggers in your life are also going to be ways that you can put yourself first. It's, you have to give to yourself. We have to, or we cannot give to other people at all. Anybody, our children, our spouses, we won't be able to give them fully because we're going to be blocked. We're going to have these blocks. We're always going to have blocks, but we need to constantly be working through them. And I want to show you real quick. I'm really sad that we're almost done working with the Magick of Antiquities deck. These have amazing cardstock. I am going to do a review when we're completely done with them, but I do love them so much. So we have, my faith has the power to turn trauma into healing, conflict into growth, and fear into love. And you notice how that starts is my faith. Just like the other day, my faith, my level of faith is a reflection on my happiness. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. Your level of faith in the universe, your ability to surrender to higher forces is going to help you turn trauma into healing. And this can be past life trauma, ancestral trauma, childhood trauma, or even current trauma now. Because when we're not healing trauma from our childhoods, we are adding more trauma now that we're going to have to heal again in the future. Conflict into growth. That is very important. We all have conflict in our lives, but if we can, really find ways to turn this into growth by having the faith of knowing what lies beyond the conflict, we can really grow from it. And then fear into love. Someone asked in one of the many spiritual groups that I'm in yesterday, how do you know when it's your intuition or when it's your anxiety talking? And the only best answer I knew was that fear, if you make a decision out of fear, that is always going to be your anxiety talking. But when you're making a decision out of love, now that is going to be your intuition talking right there. Okay, so I want to show you guys what decks I got for next month. We have the She Believed She Could, So She Did. And this is one of my all-time favorite quotes because it's so true. All you really have to do is believe in every aspect of your life. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And then these are just beautiful cards. So these are going to be like these ones, just like the simple quotes. And then I don't know how I stumbled upon this profoundly insightful deck, but we have the Rumi Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, get ready, because Virgo season is bringing us some very deep messages. And these are just an idea. I do wish they had more of a gloss. They do have kind of a matte to them, but they are absolutely, the artwork is just stunning. So I'm very excited to start using these, even though I am quite sad to be finished with the Antiquities. So let's go into our angel message. So Jophiel's angel message for you today. True spiritual awareness is the ability to transform a circumstance that seems negative. And right there, turn conflict into growth and trauma into healing, into an opportunity for redemption. The ability to do this is one of the greatest feats of humankind. I am always with you to send you the love and support you need to face obstacles. I also am able to show you a new perspective, to see the light in the hardships you face. Your remarkable ability to overcome is a great source of strength and wisdom. So, guys, when you find yourself struggling to turn fear into love, reach out to your angels. Ask your angels to show you a new perspective. And you're going to receive messages, but not only ask, you have to be open to receiving their messages. Okay, and then let's see here. We have today's angelic number is number 1. And this number encourages you to take personal responsibility. And if we're talking about a theme going into Virgo season, I see it as personal responsibility. That's really where the triggers and the trauma and the conflict. This is all about taking responsibility for ourselves, taking responsibility for our triggers, for our conflict, and for our fears, and not projecting them on other people as their responsibility. Personal responsibility is how you mature and gain wisdom. Change can only happen when you are willing to acknowledge what needs to transform in your life. Acknowledge means give yourself permission. The action steps here. Make a list of things that you feel ready to alter in your life. Reflect on how taking ownership of your attitude and approach gives you the power to usher in goodness. If you're going through a difficult time and there's a lot of conflict in your life, making a list of things that you want to change in your life might really seem redundant. Like, what's the point? I don't know how I'm going to change it. Nothing's ever going to change. You know, it is what it is. And just that negative attitude. Because when we have so many triggers and so much conflict, it brings us to that depression point where we really feel stuck. And we feel like nothing's ever going to change. But I encourage you to make a list of things that you would like to change in your life, and then take ownership, take personal responsibility, change your approach. And this is going to give you, it's going to empower you. And just try it, just do it. Even if you feel hopeless, I talk to so many people who tell me that their situation's never going to change, that nothing's ever going to change. And with that attitude and that mindset, you're right. I hate to put it like that, but it's the truth. You have to believe it. Remember, right here, she believed she could, so she did. And that goes for anything. If you believe in it, it will change. If you have the power and the attitude and you take responsibility, you can change things. The thing is, when we start to take responsibility for our actions is when the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment and all of these negative feelings flow through. But that's what we have our angels for. And that's why we're focusing on learning how to improve our self-love, because we need to love our light sides as well as our shadow and our dark sides. We have to love all of us. We have to love ourselves even when we feel guilty, even when we feel ashamed. We have to let ourselves feel those feelings, and then guess what? You can release it. You don't have to live in it, because right now it's living in your subconscious mind and it's coming out as triggers and conflict and fear because you don't want to acknowledge it, because it's too painful, it's too shameful, it's too embarrassing. There's so many negative aspects to it that you'd rather just not. But guys, it's so important. Allow yourself to feel these feelings. It doesn't mean to be down and hard on yourself. It means to acknowledge that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. We are humans. We're not perfect. Allow yourself today to not be perfect. And once you can do that, you're really going to start to see changes in your life. You're going to start making decisions out of love. You're going to start having this amazing growth, and you're going to have self-power. You're going to be empowered. Okay, so affirmation of the day: I am able to create good from bad. I know that I can shift sad to glad. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. All right, so there is today's message for you today. Real quick, this has nothing to do with anything, but where are you and how is COVID in your area? Are things changing again? I am in Mississippi, one of the worst states for this new variant, this new strain. My daughter's high school and then my other daughter's preschool, they are quarantining and isolating classes, whole classes, and all the bus drivers are out, all the teachers are out. It's really, and I kept my children home last year and homeschooled them. And my daughter, my teenage daughter, is a social butterfly. I was like, it's time to go back to school and get back to the real world and try to, get back to normalcy. But it's never going to be normal. But the thing is that my governor is pretty stubborn, and we still don't have a mask mandate in our state. It's if you've had the vaccine, then you don't have to wear one. But when you're walking around, how do you really know, okay, these 10 people aren't wearing masks, so we just, okay, all of them had their vaccine? Definitely not the case. I'm not trying to start a debate here on what you think about the vaccine, but I do want to throw out there that my state is one of the worst. We have some of the lowest numbers of the vaccine, and I don't think it helps that we have a governor that supports it. He's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but things are getting pretty intense down here with coronavirus, and I have friends in Australia and in the UK. And my friend in Australia, even though they have very few cases, they are still just about down on complete lockdown. Now, I have not heard the term lockdown since in November when we had the president elections. So I feel like things just kind of stopped after we switched presidents. And I don't want to go into a debate about presidents either. I'm just saying that's when I feel like we kind of stopped hearing about COVID and coronavirus. And now it's really starting to become a big problem in our everyday lives again. So yeah, throw down in the comments, where are you living? How is it where you are? How do you feel about it? All right, so that's it for today, guys. Love, light, and blessings. Have a super awesome day, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye.